Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections and Voter Registration meeting, and there comes the air conditioning. The time is 4:35, and we're meeting in person. First time since 2020, so that's exciting. Yeah. We've been in person special meetings, but not regular, so here we are. The first item on the agenda is the board member oath of office. And do we have a volunteer to read it? Mr. Shirley, go ahead, please.
I do swear or affirm that I will, as a member of the Board of Elections, duly attend all ensuing primaries and elections during the continuance thereof, that I will, to the best of my ability, prevent any fraud, deceit, or abuse in carrying on the same, that I will make a true and perfect return of such primaries and elections, and that I will at all times truly, impartially, and faithfully perform my duties in accordance with Georgia laws to the best of my judgment and ability.
All right. Wonderful. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. But before we do that, when I met with Adam, we added time limits to the agenda items. Does anyone have a problem with that, or okay with that? Okay, we can always add on at the end if we want to keep talking about it. But the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make that motion.
A motion by Ms. Till. Second by Mr. Shirley. All those in favor?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I have a question.
Okay.
We each received a memo from Director Sosby about a couple of things that might need our attention. I didn't know if now would be the time to amend the agenda with those.
Yeah, so I see that one is on the agenda. So that one probably needs to be on. Is this just a taking it action?
One about the voting precinct that I think.
Is this precinct one, just a FYI, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we can just do that in the director's report.
Okay.
And this is also an FYI that we can do during announcements, right?
So maybe it is okay.
Well, there's the one, announcement.
There's one about, maybe this one might be about the voting, the change in the advanced voting schedule.
Yeah, and that's what I have. So, okay. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda or amend the agenda to add.
I need to withdraw mine.
How about this? I'll move to make a friendly amendment, if you consider a friendly amendment, to amend the agenda with adjusting the advanced voting schedule,
Amend the amendment.
Okay.
if that's okay.
All right. So we're going to just add that on under new business number 6.
Okay.
And what that was or is advanced voting location for Winterville. And is there a specific date?
It's in the memo, but it'd be the 14th to the 16th.
Okay. So now the agenda has been amended under new business to add Winterville Depot advanced voting discussion. We had a motion and a second amendment. Everybody's happy. So all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, agenda is adopted. Next, we'll do approval of minutes, and those are in your packet. Thanks to Ms. Aletha for putting this together. And that is from the March 8th, 2020 meeting. If all members have had plenty of time to review the minutes, the chair will entertain a motion to adopt the minutes. Okay, motion by Ms. Till, second. Okay, second by Mr. Lear. All those in favor, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Now we're in a little transition period here, so I didn't receive any emails. And it doesn't look like there's anyone here. Are you here for public comment? All right. So public comment. All right. So next item on the agenda is the director's report, which is also in your packet. And Ms. Sisby, when you are ready, Director Sisby, excuse me.
Absolutely. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. So your activity report includes a number of registered voters to equal active voters, 71,110, and total active 9,842, and total eligible 80,952. So we're growing, but a little bit. I mean, just a little bit, but we're growing. Cancellations, we had 114 cancellations. Of that number, 37 moved out of state, 52 deceased, and 25 are felon removals. And then we created 35 voter IDs and issued that number of IDs for the month of March. Didn't have this on the agenda, but I wanted to highlight our budget at this time as well. We have exhausted 67% of our budget. You'll see the packet in our, you'll see the information in your packet. And there's some things that I will have to address with the city manager's office and mayor and commission to request contingency for this particular budget. And we have exhausted all of our overtime and we have an election to come. So I'll be requesting funds for that. And then as far as our operating expenses, we are extended on many of those accounts. And I will point out the legal advertising is justifiable as our legal organ has made some changes, and we've noticed there's been an increase in those ads that we've been submitting lately as well. Because of Senate Bill 202, we're having to advertise differently than we normally do. A lot of the legal advertisements we've done in the legal section, but then there are some things that changed with Senate Bill 202 requiring us to have larger displays or display ads. So that's wrong. That was not something that was factored in our request.
So there's increased cost.
Yes, increased costs there. Our travel and lodging has increased. Of course, we didn't anticipate having the zero certifications and trainings and schools that were offered. Normally, we don't get to attend a lot of those meetings, or excuse me, those classes. But because they were offered virtually, we took advantage of that opportunity because we thought that it would also decrease the need to have flights and boarding, of course. So we took advantage of those over the internet, virtual. And so we do have a lot that we've extended in conferences and school, and of course, travel and lodging. And then our supplies, a lot of our supplies, that differ because in the request that we did for FY22, we didn't factor in that we would have a countywide election. We only factored a city of Winterville election. So that's to be justified as well, our elections expense. So we've exhausted 88% of our operating expense, and I foresee us having to make a request to the mayor and commission for contingencies on that.
Okay.
So that will be coming soon. To update you on our new precinct cards, you'll find a memo in your packet to just kind of explain the process of that. And so I'll just read that we currently have a little over 80,000 voters, as I mentioned previously. Our districts boundaries were signed by Governor Kemp on February 18th. And that delayed us meeting the Secretary of State's deadline, but we continued to work, and we did work before those districts were approved with anticipation that they would not change. They didn't, thankfully. So we completed our district redistricting entries on March 2nd. And because of the different district changes that we now have in Athens-Clarke County, we will have to mail a voter registration card or polling precinct card to every voter in our county. And it's because of the changes to the state house, basically. But there were other changes like commission district lines that changed and such. So because of that, again, we've had to mail registration cards or polling precinct cards to all of our voters. And we made a request for those cards, the new changes. And on March 29th, we received 30 some odd boxes of precinct cards. And I thought it'd be a good idea to review those, but typically we don't look at those cards because they're usually right? But this was just too many to have a mistake. And so we found that the old districts were on the cards. We received two mailings, different mailings, not sure how that happened, but we were in the transition of moving from one voter registration system to another. So I think there might have been something that happened with that. So we've requested another mailing, another print of our registration cards, and the Secretary of State's office has expedited that. And so we hope within the next week that our voters will receive their new precinct and voter registration cards. And we estimate that cost for $28,000. So I'm kind of glad I went over those before I said, let's put postage on them and put them in the mail.
And is it true that the Secretary's office paid for the cards? We are only responsible for the postage. That's correct.
That's correct.
So they're eating the cost of the reprinting.
That's right. Yes, okay. And Lisa's going to give an update on our poll worker recruitment. And we'll do that at this time, Lisa. Thank you.
Okay. We have, Aletha can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we have closed the poll worker application for now. There are reasons that we had to do that instead of leaving it open continuously, but we'll open it back up again when we're ready to start hiring for the November election. We have almost all of our precincts completely staffed. I would have liked to have had enough to have had a small number of on-call poll workers, but that didn't happen. It's getting close to training to start. That's why we went ahead and closed the application. But we have more than enough people to run this election. Yeah, Aletha just said we hired 58 people.
And how many do we normally have?
Without everything in front of me, I think we have close to 250 poll workers that are working this time. We have 204 that are working election day and 42 that are working advanced voting. Some of those are the same advanced voting too.
So we're at 100%. If you want it to be a little over.
We have enough people, as soon as all the people get through the hiring process that we have left over, we should have all the precincts fully staffed, but we don't have enough to have on-call poll workers, which is what I was hoping for. That's where we are.
All right, the next item is advanced voting schedule, and it's just to update you that the city of Winterville contacted our office to let us know that because of the Marigold Parade that will be held on Saturday, May 14th, they recommended that we not start advanced voting there until that Monday. So you have the schedule and the memo attached. And I understand you'll be discussing that in your old old business. So,
Number 6 under.
yes, right. So you have that information there to help with that decision. As far as open records requests, they are attached. in your packets. And it looks that we only have one. Yes, Ms. Audra, that has confirmed that it's only one.
What month again? Only one for March.
Right, you have any questions or comments? I know there's some items that I'll be addressing to you, your other areas, so.
I thought there was one other open records request, because I had replied.
Maybe it wasn't in March.
That's that big one
Was it April?
that we're not.
Are these for March? then?
Yes, this is just for March. I believe that one that you're talking about is in May, but if it's not, I'll have it in the next one.
Okay.
Because I think I replied to that one.
You
Yeah,
did,
I
but I
did.
don't remember what.
Yeah. And I'll have that one in the next meeting.
Okay.
I have questions.
Hold on one second. Ms. Audra, thank you for this, and I appreciate putting the background information. in.
Oh, what they requested.
Yeah, that's helpful to us, yeah.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Mr. Sherman.
Dr. Sosby, I have a question about the postage. It feels like we're a little bit behind now where we would like to have been as far as mailing things out. And from what I'm reading, like, it's not our fault at all. We did our job the best we could do.
Right.
And I know you had mentioned the cost of regular postage that we were going to pay anyway.
Right.
I wonder if there's a way to try and make this as right as we can. If there's any kind of rush postage that we could pay and ask the Secretary of State's office, because this was mostly due to their error, if they could cover that cost for us at this point. What do you like? What are y'all's thoughts? What are your thoughts, Director Sosby?
I'm gonna say, probably not. That would, and I'll just tell you a little bit of history as far as postage is concerned. There was a bill that was requesting that the state pay the postage for all of our voter registration cards. That was knocked down.
Gotcha.
So I can't see that happening. But the only thing we can do really is offer option, and that's to use my voter page. And just to say to everybody that we're gonna work as fast, as quickly as we can on our end to make sure that those are in the mail within a day of us receiving them. That is a lot of cards. But we're gonna make sure that it gets done. And we wanna do it right. We don't wanna just make sure everybody get a registration card. We want it to have the right information on it.
Absolutely.
So does the post office have an automated thing, or do you guys have to sit there and do some kind of postage thing?
Well, since it's this so short of time, we're gonna be contacting the post office to see if they can actually run it for us instead of us run it through our postage machine and
And I know
go
that-
that route.
I know that some larger printing companies and stuff do that too.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do some homework and try to get them out as quick as we can.
For sure. Do you have any,
Dr.
do
Anthony.
you have another question?
That was
Do you have any other questions on the precinct cards?
I have just a general question about more about the future. We do not at this current point maintain email addresses for any of our voters.
It's not required, but some voters put it on their registration forms. That's it, and we don't put it in the system. Unless it's someone like an absentee ballot, I think the UOCAVA folks, we put their email addresses in there, but that's it.
Okay, so right now, there is nothing in works that would say voters who choose to receive the card
Right,
via email can opt out, and then we
Right.
would set up a flag and only send out those to reduce the cost.
right.
So we don't
Yeah.
have that.
No, we don't. And every opportunity that we've had as far as like advertisements in the paper, in the news, in the radio stations, we've mentioned, if you don't get your card, contact our office, go to my voter page. And it's so important this time because of the new districts. So important.
Is the office receiving a lot of calls?
We are receiving calls. Not too many, but receiving them, and we're answering. them.
When do we anticipate all goes well, voters receiving it?
I'm gonna say within 2 weeks.
You can't guarantee how the postal service gets it to them, but
Right.
can we make it a goal to be the first day of early voting, so May 2nd?
Oh, yeah, I would love for it to be that way. I would love for it to be before then.
Okay.
So if there's any errors, I don't think there are any because we did a lot of double checking.
All right. So, okay, we've discussed that, and then two items that we had hoped you could discuss, which is on the agenda, is Jarvis and the polling location. So let's do the polling location one first.
Okay,
That's an easy one.
right.
I believe that Bambro had a concern about the multimodal center
I had asked
And-
before.
in the past, yeah, and I think that this applies to all of them, but because I have a concern with another.
Yes, so what the memo that I provided you does only concern the transit multimodal. And I'll tell you, when I first came here, I visited all of our polling locations, took pictures and wanted to see the room where we had our elections at. And this one was a concern of mine. In the process of me doing that, I also found that I'm thinking maybe historically, that when this particular precinct the boundaries were done, they weren't able, or the elections office wasn't able to confirm a location in the boundaries. So they went outside the boundaries. And there is a code section, 21-265 D, allows you to go outside the precinct if you find that the location is not adequate enough. And of course, ADA is most important. So,
Just like the mall.
right.
So
So my suggestion or my recommendation is for us, me work along with you guys, to find a location for the voters in 4A and to try to find one that's in the boundaries. Because like I said, it's where they are now, it's not even in their district or in their precinct. There's some other locations that I would like to recommend the board to look at as well. Maybe not now. I would like, if we could, to put that off until next election season, which would be after the PPP, not before the PPP, but at the PPP, advertise that if you vote at this location this time, you're not going to be voting here, you're going to be voting at this location. And that gives us time to survey our land, advertise, make changes, whatever we need to do. But this one in particular, 4A, I think is something we need to probably look at sooner.
Was District 4 changed any, did the boundaries change for the District 4 during the?
precinct.
Precinct, no
Oh,
precinct map.
Precinct. So on that, could we get a map of?
Of that area.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I think, Ms. Till, did you have a comment?
I don't know if I was using the right agency. Did we not use POI in the past to discover voting places?
It was GIS.
GIS?
GIS, yes, they did that for us. So we can look again.
Great. Mr. Shirley?
And I want to be sure I understood it correctly. Are you recommending that we explore making a change in 2022?
Consider it for 4A for 2022, but to look at all of them,
Gotcha.
I prefer 2024 primary
I see. Okay.
to change of that.
March, so that's March 2023.
2024. Have them in place by March 2024 so that we can use them in May 2024.
Gotcha. Because in the past, I remember you had recommended with all the drastic changes to the commission and such lines, leave the precincts was your recommendation, leave them alone.
Yes,
Have one thing that's
yes,
constant
Yes,
as much as we can. But you're saying that even with that in mind, 4A might, you recommend, need some attention for this coming up
Right.
election.
I think so.
Okay,
If not, well, not for this one that's coming up, but no later than the November election.
gotcha. So, okay. I want to be
A little bit, through the runoffs.
Right,
Okay.
right. Maybe we could advertise it at the runoff,
Gotcha.
have it.
Okay, and going back to the precinct cards real quick, I always tell people your precinct lines have not changed because you
Right.
did not move.
Right.
So you didn't get your card, but you
Absolutely.
did not move your house. Right?
Right.
We did shuffle everyone around. So,
Yeah.
okay. And then the other thing is, And I hope you have more information than the last time we spoke. Could you tell, just what happened with Jarvis? Like, first of all, what is it? What did we use before and what happened with where we are? Did that affect these precinct cards?
Right.
Yeah.
So Pam is gonna give you that update and then I'm going to add to it if it doesn't answer all of your questions.
Okay.
Okay. Back in December of last year, the Secretary of State met with all 159 counties wanting to implement a new voting election system, which is called Jarvis. And it's supposed to be new and improved and eliminate some of the bottlenecking processes that we've had in advance voting. So as you heard some of the details at the conference that we went to back in March, that they was gonna implement it back on March 30th. They did, but we had a lot of technical difficulties that came, people didn't have the right credentials. Some people hadn't still got access to the system. So it was just a lot of things, and a lot of the counties, including me, was getting concerned about what would be happening as far as advanced voting, because advanced voting was approaching us pretty quick. So they came back, they got with us, and they decided that they would go back to ENET, the current voting system that we're on right now for this election. And they're still working out all the technical hiccups that we're having with the Jarvis system. But Jarvis is also being used at this time for absentee applications. If anybody apply for an online absentee application, the absentee ballot team, yes, can go in and they can receive those applications out of Jarvis. But as far as everything else, setting up the elections, data entry, audits, everything we were doing back in ENET, we're currently doing it back now. So they're hoping to go back, to Jarvis after this election, and then they say Jarvis should be the driving force. They're looking at July for us to do that. So no, it doesn't have anything to do with the precinct cards or anything like that. What was your other question?
Voters.
Yeah,
But we have the access to Jarvis for the absentee vote.
Yes, that's it for right now. And they just want us to, keep looking, in it to see, how it works, play with it some, just to see if they're getting some of the kinks out, because they were doing like the Ask the Experts webinars like every day at 10 o'clock. And I know they was picking at me and said they kicked me out the system because my name was used so much. I had so many questions because, a lot of the functionalities that we had in ENET, we were not seeing them in Jarvis. So, so it was a lot of people having a lot of questions. So like I say, right now, we're just back in ENET until they get all that worked out, and then we'll be going back to Jarvis.
thank you for the update. Do you have any additional commentary to add? So the first question I will let others ask. Do you have anybody else have any questions about it? Nope. Okay. What impact will this have on the voters? Will they notice any when they're interacting in my voter page or doing other things from a voter perspective? No.
They will not notice any change, but there is a revised, I'm gonna say, look. There's a different look to my voter page.
Okay.
And that was part of the changes that's going on. So not only was Jarvis gonna change, all of the different processes that the Secretary of State's office offers is going to change. Like Firefly, it's gonna look a little different with the buzz and everything. My voter page, no ink. There's gonna be some changes with our poll pads. But all of that's part of this, I'm gonna say, hybrid improvement of what they offer.
And they were gonna roll that out in April before May election? Yeah, well, okay.
Yes, yes, they,
Well, all right. Well,
some good intentions.
They had good intentions.
And I work on the committee, so I'm sorry.
okay. We just know that it was not our office doing.
No, it was not.
So thank you.
Say it loud.
Pam, you're a leader in this whole process, right? You put the brakes on it, right?
Well, that's what they say, because we went to one of the trainer classes that was not a trainer class on camera. But I had a list and they had me come to the front of the room to answer all these questions, they're like, now, who are you, where you work? Because I'm like, it wasn't doing a lot, because you would think if you're implementing a system, you would look at kind of what you got and improve upon it, but, you know, so hopefully when it launches, it will have all of my questions on it.
It's really great. It's really a great tool, and it's gonna provide a lot more for me, specific us, reports.
Yeah,
We're gonna have access to those reports. Now, if you pull a report, you have to wait a few minutes for it to, you know,
overnight.
yeah. And then some of them are overnight reports where we did reports when
Go home.
we first got in, and it was like, oh my God, look, we got our information. So that was
Okay.
good. So
All right.
I do look forward to that. So
Great.
there's some good things.
Thank you for your leadership on that.
Yes.
Sure.
How much?
And
work
the rest
was-
of the
oh,
office.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, how much input had you already put in Garvis that you had to redo and go back to do a lot of.
Oh,
We have one conflict.
I just said, look, I got an email right here, I got notes, look, about 3-4 pages.
All right. Well, let's move on. Pam did a good job. Our staff was awesome. Moving on. Okay. We should have done this when we amended the agenda, but I'm hoping that we could let the GIO staff go first.
That's right.
So they don't have to sit here and listen to our whole meeting if you're ready. Or we can do something and come back to you after the first one. What do you want to do?
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, and then you don't have to talk about everything.
Okay, I'll get on there.
Good afternoon. I'll be presenting the application our office developed in response to the resolution you issued regarding voter registration and voter turnout in Athens-Clarke County. As a reminder, on December 31st, 2020, the Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections and Registration requested a demographic and geospatial analysis of voter registration and voter turnout in Athens-Clarke County. In order to maximize voter registration and voter turnout, the Athens-Clarke County Director of Elections and Voter Registration, the City Manager of Athens-Clarke County Unified Government, and the Athens-Clarke County Geospatial Information Office were asked to collaborate in their respective roles to conduct a demographic and geospatial analysis of voter registration and voter turnout in Athens-Clarke County that, one, analyzes data on the race, age group, gender, likely socioeconomic status, and geospatial distribution of our community members who are registered to vote in Clarke County and our community members who have been turning out to vote during recent election cycles. Two, utilizes data from the Clarke County voter registration rolls, election results files, U.S. Census Bureau, American Community Service, the 2020 census when available, the Georgia Secretary of State's website, and any other data sources determined to be helpful in this sort of analysis. And three, results in the creation of a publicly available analysis, excuse me, report, static and web-based mapping applications, visual representations of the data, and any other tools that would be helpful for the board and the public when seeking to maximize voter registration and voter turnout in Clarke County. Okay, regarding our methodology, to visualize the geospatial distribution of voter turnout in recent election cycles, data from the 2020, 2018, 2016, and 2014 general election were acquired from the Georgia Secretary of State's office. The data were matched with the ACC Gov address point layer. That's the authoritative master address list for the county. The resulting point layer was then overlaid on 2020 census tract boundaries acquired from the U.S. Census Bureau. The percentage of addresses not matched with the ACC Gov address point layer, 2020, 1%, 2018, 1%, 2016, 1%, 2014, 34%. There were 25,297 total records. 17,000 of those matched, 87, about 88,000 did not match. And the unmatched addresses include 162 addresses that didn't match any addresses in the ACC address point layer, as well as, and this is the important one, 8,713 addresses that had no address listed, only the voter registration number. Other reasons for not matching include street names listed as apartment complex names, for example, Rock Springs Homes, Parkview Homes Extension, Hancock Apartments, street numbers that are basement apartments not identified in the ACC Gov address point layer, and house numbers that don't exist. The registered voter list for the 2020 general election was acquired from the Georgia Secretary of State's office. They were not able to provide us with separate lists for 218, 216, or 214. And I'll show you the application. You can see the application is divided into 7 tabs. There's the introduction tab, the 2020 comparison, 2020, 2018, 2016, 2014, and the percentage of population age 18 and older registered to vote. The introduction tab basically has your mission statement, the project description that I kind of went over, project methodology. And then the 2020 comparison shows the percentage of voter registration and turnout by census tract. The darker the shade, the greater percentage of registered voters that voted. You can click on a census tract. You'll get the census tract number, percentage of registered voters that voted in the 2020 general election. You'll get voter turnout, registered voters, and then you get a comparison of the voter turnout for 2020, 2018, 2016, and 2014. And then there's demographic information on the population age 18 and older. And then the following percentages refer to the population age 18 and older in terms of, Hispanic, white, etc. The tabs for 2020, 2018, 2016, and 2014 show percentage of voter turnout by census tract. Again, the darker the shade, the greater percentage of voter turnout. And again, you can click on the census tract and it will give you the percentage of 2020 voter turnout. And like here, you can see, like I said, the darker the percentage of voter turnout is higher. These would need to be areas focused on because they're lighter. So they're going to have a smaller percentage. In this case, it's 6%. The percentage of population age and older registered to vote shows the percentage of population age 18 and older registered to vote in the 2020 general election. The information is primarily of comparison to see which census tracts have a higher percentage of voting age population that are registered to vote. And again, the darker the shade, the greater percentage of population age 18 and older that are registered to vote. So that's basically where we are right now on the application. There is some economic data that needs to be added to this. And unfortunately, the 2020 data is not out by census tract yet, but as soon as that information, get back to it as well. So that's where we are so far.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
A few minutes back, you were giving some numbers and it was a number of 8,000 and something. And
Yes, there's
I heard you right. You said that they had no addresses, but they had voter cards.
it was 8,713 addresses that had no address listed, only the voter registration number. Those are the things I got from the state. And they sent us an Excel spreadsheet that had that information. And those were the ones, the 8,700 something that only had the voter registration number, no address.
Would they have an address such as the courthouse associated with it?
Wow, they wouldn't be that
I
many.
don't,
Wouldn't be that many.
Who would that be?
I'm not sure because we have what we refer to a 999 report, and that populates voters who are not precinct to a location. So we wouldn't have all of their information, their address.
So you're a CAVA voter, would that be in that category?
Yeah, they could possibly be in there, but I don't see why they haven't because
Make that number that high.
no,
Really
and
high.
yeah. So
Will we have access to that
Is that
sheet?
something we could investigate?
yes,
Will we have access to
we-
that sheet with that information?
Is that something that needs to be done after?
Will we have access to that sheet with that information?
We have access to that sheet.
They got the
that
voter numbers?
information.
With that 8,000 or
Excel
something?
spreadsheets.
So what we'll do is we'll take
Should
that
get you.
sheet, take the voter numbers and look and see why. It could be that it voters or something, but I'd be interested to find out what.
Yeah, that's
That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get that.
Okay, that's great. So thank you both. Thank you, your office, for doing that. I know
Yes,
that
it's great.
one of our former chairmen really wanted to get that done, and I think it's a huge help to our voters and everyone, so recognize him for doing that. And I think this was asked, but is there gonna be like a report, just a kind of PDF of like what you read and, or is that on that first tab, most of what you?
A lot of it is on that introduction tab.
Okay.
But, a lot of that is in the project description.
Okay, I think it would be helpful
If you capsulized it and put it on a spreadsheet instead of reading it and then going to the map and reading it and going to the map.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. That's a lot of time. We'd like something a little more scaled down so we can understand it better. So if I'm looking here and this says this, I can go to the same page and say, okay, so this right here says this. It's not that form. It's too broad.
Yeah, I want to get a hold of it myself and look into it more. And
Yeah, but that way you're constantly going back and forth where you need, like any other thing that you're looking at, you need all the information on one sheet or a couple of sheets of paper where you have line items. This percentage of whatever it is, this percentage compared to this year to that year. And you're looking at it and you can go like, okay, so in 2014, this was what it was. So now in 2020, I don't.
One of the things in the 2020 that shows the data comparison between the years.
So if I'm,
Like for instance, not the 2020, I'm sorry, the 2020 comparison, when you click on the,
That's what I'm saying. That's too much clicking.
oh,
I'm
So we have
I'm a visual person.
5
I
more
want to
minutes.
see it all at one time.
okay, well, I mean, one thing they do talk about in here is also a hard copy.
Yeah.
So that you would have, the map and then, that information on a sheet.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're not quite done. And so there would be
The economic data needs to be added to it.
then a written report and a spreadsheet or some, is it?
Well, I can send you the spreadsheets right now. Or just wait till the end. The spreadsheets are what we got from the state, and that's what we used to, to match to our address point layer.
I'm a visual learner. This is fine for me, but if others want a spreadsheet,
Yeah.
That's
We
fine.
we have to understand that this was not asked for just for our information.
Right.
This has to be disseminated down to the citizens. And for everybody to be able to ingest that information, it needs to be broken down more, because everybody in Athens is not alike.
Mr. Shirley, did you have a question?
yes,
You mentioned it before you.
where can I find this? Is it up on the Open Data website yet?
No, not yet, because we weren't gonna do anything with it until you saw it first.
Gotcha. I'm just excited to get a hold of it.
Send you- Yeah, I can give you.
Beautiful.
I can
Thank you.
send you the link and
Good
then.
job, good job,
All right.
good job.
That'd be great. Thank you so much for doing this.
just curious, Mary, can you scroll over the lightest one you have there? And then the darkest one you have? Just
The
curious.
2020 comparison?
Yeah. Like, so that one had is that 42.20?
Yeah, 42.29.
I mean, 29, yeah. And then a dark one would be,
71.5.
wow, okay.
Hmm.
Interesting,
And it tells you on the side legend.
yeah. And then you have the turnouts for the other years there, 2020, 18.
In 2020, which, yeah,
Okay,
2018, 16.
interesting. I like it.
Be able to see everything she's just.
Yes, yes.
How
Okay,
will we get?
when we will get that in a link this evening, or do you want to wait till you put the last piece together?
That's, well, I can send you the Excel spot files tomorrow. I will not be able to send you this in a hard copy format yet. I probably won't do that till everything's complete.
Are you able to send us that URL?
Yeah, I'll send that to you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. We're gonna,
I guess we put it on your website. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Jeff about this.
Just keep in mind that it doesn't meet the letter of request in that we're still missing economic data and we don't have a delivery date on the economic data. It was supposed to have arrived in November of 2021. Everybody in the country is waiting, just like everything else from the census.
understood.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you to everyone. We'll wait until we can stop sharing the screen and then.
So from that, are y'all gonna kind of like target some, or gonna target like certain areas and see why they're not?
I would love to do that.
Blue,
I would
at
like,
least blue, right?
like a database approach, right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I feel like go to that part of town, no, we're gonna go here because that census.
That's,
has a
that's
little-
the track, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
All right.
Where will that lead us?
Okay.
We would have to look at the transportation and the area, maybe the income.
So we'll add it to the next agenda, have a whole conversation. How about- We'll move on here. So we're gonna move to section F, number 1. And that is public safety procedures for elections. Well, we're gonna allow 10 minutes for that discussion. And I will kick it off. Folks don't mind. I'm gonna start a timer so we can stay on track here. So here we go, 10 minutes. So this is my Miss Willa and I's multiple conversations we've had in response to the police brochure conversation we've had a million times. And let me say that we all understand that the initial presentation of it was a misunderstanding. So we've moved past that. We're working towards a solution.
Good.
So with that out of the way, what our hope is we can get a number of key players in the room in a meeting, and we can have a meeting so we can all be on the same page. Do you have that list I sent you handy?
Don't have it. I'm sorry.
Okay, I think I have it, but just off the top of my head, some of the key players would be 2 board members, I'm thinking myself and Ms. Willa, the director, the attorney's office, public information office, a designee from the police department and a designee from the fire department, perhaps a designee from the school district. A lot of schools are involved. Maybe a member from the community, just so they're at the table, so to speak. I'm hoping we can put this meeting together sooner than later.
Yes.
So that's kind of all I had to say. I have a list on my computer, it's in my backpack, of the exact people. I put a lot more thought into it. So I'm done. Would you like to go for, let's just go down the line. This topic and,
I think that's a good idea to get, those people involved. And especially if we can have some community members, that would be excellent.
How about the parties? Would you like the political parties to also be in on that?
I think that would be a great idea. Yeah. And then real quick sorry, Adam, or are you done, Ms. Edwards?
I am.
Ms. Pappas, let me say it wrong. Pappas.
Apple.
Pappas, okay. Just please tell me when I say it wrong. We're hoping your office could kind of give like a presentation at this meeting, like a briefing on applicable election law that would apply that the police and the fire department and these people would need to be aware of. So kind of the same idea, but in a different approach.
So instead of sending out a written brochure, rather it just be oral. Tell me.
Yeah, I mean, is there a way you could put together a little memo or something? You or someone from your office, or we can talk about the logistics if it would be you or Judd or whoever. Go ahead.
Sure. At this time, I have none.
Still?
Oh, I having as many people in a discussion about something like this, I mean, I can't think of anybody to add, but I think discussion is always your answer for everything.
Yeah, that was the intent in this, to just bring everyone together. And we could just have a quick little discussion. The attorney's office can kick us off with a little briefing and then we can just have a little discussion. Sir.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest concern is we don't want to do anything that would reduce the number of voters. And at the same time, we are balancing it out, if you want to call it the word balance, with safety. That is
Yeah.
paramount right now. For me, at least it is.
That's the intent. Say,
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would also like to point out to staff that we do hear you and that your safety concerns for workers, poll workers, yourselves, I mean, we're included in that safety concern. So hoping this is a solution for, so if we have nothing further, that only took 5 minutes.
good deal.
All right. So the next item on the agenda is board pay, and we received a memo. Starting the timer, we received a memo from the director, but if I could maybe ask Ms. Dill to start? No, I have nothing.
Okay.
Ms. Dill. So,
In the recesses of my mind, when I first began on the board, and I knew absolutely not anything that was going on. I was just sitting there trying to absorb what I could. It seemed that you had, as the director, moving companies that moved the equipment for voting and picked it up to store it during that time period.
We didn't have a moving company. We had, well, they were ACC employees who were actually moving the equipment,
yeah, and that's.
and we rented trucks.
Okay, so how were these ACC employees and the truck paid?
So our budget covered the truck pay and rental, gas, but the employees, they were on their time, on their clock, their department's clock.
Okay, so they were paid by their department.
Yes.
Okay, because seems like the hangup with getting this approved with the board members is we don't feel like this has been included in our pay.
Right.
I'll just say as. And we want to see if we can resolve that so we can get finished with this and not put it on next month's agenda.
We don't want to run into July.
No.
So
Yeah.
would y'all like me to add something in there that's like $15 an hour
That'd be great.
for work,
Yeah, like
labor?
when I help Lisa, or I think Hank has been in there with helping and stuff.
Right.
And my thought was, I think $15 an hour is great because that's what everybody's at.
Yeah.
But if and when we change the poll worker pay, could it then change to what a poll manager makes?
But then
I think that that's a fair equivalency.
I think it's gonna move to that anyway.
Right.
And I hear some good stuff's coming out of this, this study, I would put it like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, the poll workers are gonna be fine.
Rocky's been waiting for that study for
I
a
have-
long time.
I'm gonna take that study to my grade.
It is almost done, yes.
Okay, so I don't think we need to take any action on this because we've already approved it. So do we want to maybe add this in and take another action then?
Yeah.
Is that okay with
In addition to.
Been approved. So why don't we do that? The chair will entertain a motion to add to amend the recommended board pay by the director to add $15 an hour, any additional labor.
Yeah.
It's a lot of words,
Make
but,
that motion.
all right. Moved by Ms. Till, second by Ms. Fambro. Mr. Secretary, did you catch all my words?
I think so. Let me read back what I
Okay.
had. That's probably not exactly.
It was a lot of jumble.
I have motion by, sorry, that was by Ms. Till, to amend the fiscal year 23 budget request to include board members to be paid at $15 per hour for additional labor. That's not exactly what was said, but is that?
That gets, yes.
That-
Is that sufficient?
Do we need, I would like to see if we could add the change or make it say equal to full
Correct.
manager pay, and then if it changes, it doesn't need to.
Whatever.
It's just
the
You
current-
don't wanna have to go through another motion and take it up again, if you
Yeah.
do it like that.
Okay, hang on. So if that's what you, the maker of the motion, would like it to read, paid for that at a rate equal to that of all managers. Is
Yeah.
that, instead of saying the dollar amount?
Yeah.
So that would mean the whole thing would now be the motion by Ms. Till to amend the fiscal year 2023 budget request to include board members to be paid for additional labor at a rate equal to that of poll managers.
Correct.
Perfect.
Correct.
In
Okay, we have a
addition to
second.
what I recommend.
In addition to
In
the
addition.
recommendation
In addition.
made by,
Okay,
So,
okay.
Ms. Fambro, you're okay with that amendment?
yeah,
All right.
I'm sure,
Comments?
that amendment being what Director just mentioned about the, In addition
in addition to the recommendation,
okay, include.
It's gonna be my
in addition
work
to-
when I
the
go
recommendation.
HR payroll.
Staff or either direct or
Do you want us to do this in the form of a resolution? Then? Would that be more helpful?
I don't think you have to. I'll just give them copies in a minute. Yeah.
Technically approved,
This paragraph is getting.
right?
It's just like,
It's, you know, it's ambitious.
all right.
So then if I can read it back. Motion by Ms. Till to amend the fiscal year 23 budget request to include, in addition to recommendations previously approved by the board,
Okay.
board members to be paid for additional labor at a rate equal to that of poll managers.
Beautiful.
That-
Okay, great.
Mhm.
You're correct.
Okay, so motion by Ms. Till, second by Ms. Fambro. All those in favor, raise your hand or signify by saying aye. All right. There. That's the third one of those. Okay, and we had 4 minutes to spare. Look at that. We're just cooking along here. The next item on the agenda is board designee for the vote review panel. Ballot duplication panel, that's 15 minutes, which I don't think we'll need, but. First of all, Ms. Sosby, you're probably not prepared to do this, but you probably know it already. What do we need? What do we have? It's always so confusing every time, so.
Yes. So I sent you guys an
You did,
email
you did.
and, we'll see if I can pull that up. My big girl is the phone.
Us.
Yes, thank you. So what I would like from you is for the vote review panel, we need 1 Democrat, 1 Republican, and 1 BOE panel. That will be our partisan panel. And then we need a nonpartisan panel that consists of 2 who will be appointed by the judge and 1 appointed by the board. So 1 to serve as a partisan panel and 1 to serve as nonpartisan panel. And I would prefer, and I think it would be best to have 2 different people. And that's for the vote review panel. And for the duplication team, oh, you got a mouse? I've been trying the whole meeting, trying to get mine pulled up, and I can't. Duplication team. Oh, it's basically the same thing. So for the partisan panel, it'll be 1 Democrat, 1 Republican, 1 BOE for the partisan panel. And then for the nonpartisan panel,
So this is, you're talking about the duplication.
yes. So 2 nonpartisan that will be appointed by the judge and 1 BOE. So basically, we need 4 appointees, 2 for the duplication team and 2 for the review panel. Yes,
The BOE needs to supply 4 people.
yes. And then you have the schedule in your email. If y'all don't have it, just let me know. I'll forward it to you again. But it's from 1 to 4 on some days.
So in my conversations with people work, people have lives. 1 to 4 is pretty hard to find volunteers. I know, I understand the irony in that. That is your life and your work, but is there any way to do it more in the afternoon of the day? I know,
I'm looking over at my absentee ballot person.
That increases
You'd
your-
like to go home and sleep sometimes during election time.
but we also want to have fair panels. We also want to do our job.
Right. So I would like to point out one of them is on a Saturday.
Okay.
Just one. And then, of course, election day, it starts at 12 noon until completion.
Do you have anything you want to add? Like, I think she does. Go ahead.
This is the typical time. Pretty much since I've been there is around this
Okay.
schedule. During that time, some of us will probably be getting to work at 6 and 7 a.m. I know I will. Because that's crunch time.
Right.
And I do not foresee wanting to be there until 7 or 8 each night.
Mhm.
Especially since we have the other extended hours. Because on election day, it starts at 12, right? And then I put down that Saturday.
Now, do we work? So it starts that Thursday. Are you gonna go on this Monday? We have 200 of ballots sitting here. I don't think we need to work on this on Thursday. We can do that on Friday.
I don't care if
Or-
we don't have 5 ballots. We're scheduled to do it. We're doing it with 5.
On the Thursday at noon,
Whatever
then
day
they go home.
that
It's
is
designated,
designated.
whatever day is designated.
So one day we might have 50, one day we might have 350.
Right.
But we will follow the schedule and we'll go according to that schedule and on election day from 12 until completion.
So we need to talk to our, go ahead.
I have a couple questions. How many total days is it is the ask? I know you emailed us, I'm sorry.
6, that includes election day.
Okay.
And I'll give you the dates. It's
Okay.
May 14th, 16th, 18th, 19th, and 23rd.
Okay.
And then on the 24th, it's 12 till completion.
Gotcha,
All the other days are 1 to 4.
gotcha. And then did I hear correctly that depending on how much workload there is it possible that they will be, well, they can't count on being done before 4 p.m. We need to ask them to commit to 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah.
on other days.
Yes.
I see. And then one more question, Mr. Chair, sorry. I understand this is not ideal, but how acceptable could it be to have either multiple panelists, right? Like the designee that we have for the nonpartisan panel for the BOE could be a different person, and or have them split shifts, tag in, tag out, like just using random people as an example. If I'm the designee, if person A is the designee from 1 to 2 p.m. and then person B comes in and relieves them from 2 to 4 p.m. or something like that. I know that's not the best,
Mhm.
but are either of those preferable? Are neither of them good?
Yeah, now state law allows us to appoint multiple panels.
Okay.
So that would be appointing multiple panels.
Okay.
Yeah, that is something that we are allowed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
But then you have the one panel that is like the central panel.
Okay.
Like if there's something that needs to be broken a tie or something like that, they're the ones that make that final say or whatever.
So what you're basically saying is they can have quote unquote subs.
I was kind of thinking that way, just barking up that tree, because if we're having to beg people to come do it,
Right.
then I know it's not great for consistency, right? We want the same judgment from the same
So-
people each time, but
My initial thought on that is,
I say that's fine. The only request that I have is that I have enough time to get their
Process.
paperwork done.
Right.
That's the only request I have. So if you have two people that want to do, somebody 1 to 3, somebody 3 to 4, that's fine, as long as they're serving in that same capacity.
Now, the final question is, does the code section spell out those dates and times?
No.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I have a logistical question.
Yeah, we got 7 minutes.
Thank you.
I'll talk slow. No, I'm kidding. Director Sosby, would you like this, what the product that we end up giving you, would it need to be, if we only had one appointee for each of those panels, we would, I guess, move to name, designate this person to this panel, to the duplication panel, this person to the vote review panel. But if we had multiple people that we wanted to try and go for, would that need to be more of a complicated, they're different panels, but it's just like, would it need to be like an exhaustive list of like a whole new panel for each person we're considering being a sub?
I think you could just say, we would like to recommend these people to work on as vote review panelists.
Okay,
And then we know to expect one of them that day
gotcha.
or that time.
I see.
And quick email, so-and-so's gonna show up today.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And same thing for the duplication.
I see. Okay,
All right.
thank you. That's
Okay.
flexible.
Go ahead, and then Ms. Tell. and then Ms. Van Rock, go.
I know we spoke, we discussed this with regard to poll workers. Can we borrow folks from Athens-Clarke County? For this?
Currently, we can't because of the ordinance that doesn't allow us to have employees work and be
Even-
paid.
But this is called, this is considered,
Yeah, so,
I think they need to be acting as private citizens. BOE designee, not employees of Athens-Clarke County. That does not look good. Sounds bad. Ms. Till, did you have any comments? Ms. Fambro, go ahead.
My question, are those dates are solid that we were given, those dates and times?
That's what we're
That's it, that's what
discussing.
we're working with, yeah.
So it's not
So
long.
For me, the people that I have asked, what's the deadline to, for these people to give you an affirmative or to turn down? Because I've asked a couple of people, and at that time, I really didn't know the solid dates, but one of them mentioned to the fact that, you know, May is not a long way off, but it's kind of a way off, and they, you know, they really don't want to commit this early on.
Right.
I would think May the 7th.
May the 7th,
Would be a cut day.
cut off day.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and if they can do it sooner, they will.
Right.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna tell you, I'm reading from 21-2483. So for a vote review panel, you can have multiple vote review panels, but you need to appoint a panel as the chief vote review panel. So you would make note of who would serve as the chief panel. If that makes
So
sense.
with that, will we designate one of these 4 panels you spelled out as the chief panel then?
So whichever person that you decide to put on that team or that panel, then indicate that person's gonna be the chief panel.
So far, we have learned, hold on a second. We have learned that the times are not set in stone. The staff's preference is to keep the staff times as is. We're having trouble finding people because the times are a little bit difficult. That's kind of where we're at. My suggestion is, hold on, please, is
Lisa.
each of us bring one person to the table and just be responsible with one person. We stick to the schedule.
I just want to say this schedule is not, as you say, set in stone, but I use that schedule to hire people to come and be on the ballot opening teams. So they are already set to come at those times.
So let's keep the schedule as is. We can look at it for the future. Go ahead, one more question and then we need to move on.
Thank you. sorry, two small things if I may. What is the pay rate currently?
Currently 15.
15
Yes.
flat. One
Is it
time
not
was,
like thing and then some hours
The
after?
first 2 hours, the first 2 hours is $30, $15 there.
This is still $15 an hour.
Say,
I don't know who wrote that, but
thank
I
you.
don't either.
The real quick question.
I can't make it up.
I had one other one, and I promise my last one.
It's killing me.
I'm sorry. Are
We're trying to stay on time.
Are we over on time?
We got 2 minutes, go.
Director Sosby, is it, can we have, I'm sorry. The code section talks about chief panel and other panels. Can we have, can we just have one panel that's both? Like, do we need to have, can this
Well,
panel
it
be panel and the chief panel?
I would think no, ethically, because I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna say, well, yeah, that looks like they voted for so-and-so. Now I'm gonna go up here and judge the same thing.
Yeah.
So they need to be committed to one or the other.
Yes.
And so a chief
And I
panel,
think that's absolutely great, because it gives you a conflict.
like the Supreme Court doesn't get into it until it's been appealed to them or whatever. Like,
Right, right.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
let's, I think we're gonna close the discussion here.
All right.
Rocky, just one quick question.
Discussion's closed.
Okay.
For you, go ahead.
Can poll workers, can a poll worker work at one of these?
See why they could, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I don't see why they
She's
could.
not working the election.
So-
They can't work the election.
All right, 1 minute, here we go.
they can't
Let's do
work the
this.
election.
Right.
1 minute, here we go. My suggestion and hope is that we can all just bring one person to the table. Email Aletha with that person's contact information,
Won't be mad if I send 2 or 3 weeks.
and I don't have to do one. How about that? So,
So,
let's take a vote on it, though. The chair will entertain a motion that each
No.
member provide
Yeah.
one name
yes,
to Miss Aletha to serve on the panel.
I so move.
All right. We have a second. Okay, second by Ms. Stella. Thanks, angry at me as soon as I make this.
Hold up. Hold up. I'm sorry, what's the motion?
Daddy.
each board member, you. This.
And the reason why I'm suggesting this is hearing all this discussion, the optics of poll workers and county workers and this, that, and the other thing. It just doesn't look good. I think
So how many?
doesn't seem
people-
fair. It seems shady.
How many people do we need altogether? Because
we need 4.
So we need a total of 4. I'm sorry, who was the seconder? And I have a question about
Ms.
that.
Till,
Thanks.
second discussion.
So we should.
I'm opposed to the motion because like I don't know, like it's good if we do it, but I don't know. Anyway,
Does it look bad?
well, I don't think so. I just, my gut reaction is, why is there a motion needed for this? But okay, fine. My nitty gritty stuff is how many people, by when do we need to have this by, right? That kind of, who is reported for this?
We need 4 total people.
Okay.
Represented from us. I think it would be helpful if we had more, then that we can adjust schedules.
Okay.
Charlotte said that May 7th would be the deadline,
Thank you.
and, yeah. any
To who?
further? To Aletha, right? You want the names
To,
Aletha?
I sent y'all the email to, a reminder to get them to me by May 7th.
Thank you, Alita.
and then Mr. Chair, if I might, just to be sure we know what motion we're talking about. I have a motion, where'd it go? Motion by Ms. Frambo that by May the 7th, each board member will provide to Ms. Perkins one name for the vote review panel and ballot verification panel. Seconded by Ms. Gill. Set. I'll put shall instead of will. There we go.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I didn't, you're right.
Okay, so we have 4 ayes. All those opposed, raise your hand or say no.
And the reason being,
He doesn't
You
have to.
have to give a reason.
y'all always.
He doesn't have to give a reason.
Nope.
Okay, all right. So new business, we already did number 1, so we're gonna move on to number 2, which I'm not sure there's much to update. What? We have 10 minutes? Okay. Elections legislation update. I believe that the governor has not signed any new legislation, so it doesn't matter today. The next item on the agenda is proposed special called meetings. We were hoping to nail down the dates of which we would certify the election.
Yes.
So May 27th, does that work?
No,
Okay, go ahead.
can I give that input?
Yes.
I'm off that day and that's my son's graduation day from high school.
Ain't trying to mess with
And
that.
you're a key
Congratulations.
player in that process.
Yes.
So
Monday's a holiday, so do we want to go with Tuesday? And what's the soonest we can do it Tuesday? Because we have until 5 o'clock to certify.
on Tuesday,
Yes.
but because ordinarily it would be Monday, it's a holiday.
Right.
And we're not going to be ready on the 26th.
No, we wouldn't be because of provisional ballots. We have to give them 72 hours.
What's the last date that we can, you know,
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Tuesday, 5 p.m.
We're not even going to
That's
talk
the
about the
31st.
28th.
The 31st.
Would y'all like to just have a meeting on the 26th and let us brief you on the provisional ballots? And,
And where you are at that point.
yeah,
And that'll give us a clearer picture of a date to pin down.
So May 26th at 4:30 p.m.
it's good.
That will be a special call,
Lexington Road.
Lexington Road.
And we'll do provisional ballots.
Okay.
Adam, will you be working that Tuesday?
I will not. I'll be able to join, I will not be able to be here in person. I will not be able to join, electronically, if that's an option. I cannot be here in person.
Oh, but this and that. and- We'll figure it out.
That meeting would not, where would that meeting be held? Here
Oh.
or Lexington Road?
Lexington Road.
Yeah, we don't. Okay, we can sort that out later. That's just a.
And that will
logistical thing.
just be us giving you the total, what the results are, the final results, and if you need to talk about any of the absentee ballots, but hopefully we'll have that for you as well on the 26th. And then all you'll have to do is just sign paperwork. So if we can be early as possible that day, would be good.
So there's a potential to not have the 31st.
Now, we're gonna still probably have to do the 31st, but that'll be you signing the paperwork, which is certifying.
May 26th, that's school's out by then, so I can do morning. Can people do? Throwing a number out here, 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Does that work for you? You too?
Virtually, yes.
Virtually, because is that fine, Ms. Amber?
It's okay, that's the 26th.
26, yeah. Do you
Yeah,
have a
that's-
preference other than 10?
No, no,
Or you can, 26th to the 31st. I'm still-
26th.
26 will be for provisional, to just talk about the ballots and things.
That one's not gonna be at 4:30?
That will be at 4:30.
4:30.
Oh, I thought,
But May 31st will be at 10.
understand.
And Adam, rather than it being virtual, they can put you on the phone.
Okay.
That would be probably easier than trying to mess.
Great,
with it.
absolutely.
Okay, so May 26th, 4:30, May 31st, 10 a.m. Do you want, in at 10 a.m. That's fine. Is that enough time for you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Would you re- Okay. Okay, so that's that. The other thing, I had learned at the conference that your colleague in Paulding County, Charlotte, she holds her meetings, her board holds her meetings all day.
Mhm.
And I thought that was an interesting idea,
Yeah,
but it's not that they're all day sitting there like this.
Right.
It's just an open meeting. Should subpoena or something come in, we can
Right.
take an action.
right.
Or is that, would that include riding around to the polls?
But we could put, I'm thinking, and Lisa could correct me if I'm wrong. I did this when I was in Hall County, just in case 3 of our board members showed up at the same precinct. I put in there that they were out in the community visiting polling locations and such.
Okay.
So.
So that when we're at Lexington Road at 2:30 and not at our 5 o'clock meeting,
Right.
and there's 3 of us there, then it's,
Yeah, and it's a need to, I mean,
But we'll-
anything could come up, right?
well, we need to at least meet somewhere, maybe the office at 7 a.m. to like gavel in a meeting.
Validate in.
Okay,
Yeah, validating.
Have like an open meeting.
well, as long as there's three of us that are there.
Open meeting that if they're gathered anytime,
Right.
election day,
There's,
that
you know,
as an open.
yeah, but there's nothing, there's nothing to prevent all five of us or all four. We understand your situation from being there. But we do need at least
Thing
three.
we're needed.
No, it's nothing to circumvent that fourth person. No, God, you'll get out there. You boys weren't that day.
I'm a little confused about that. So we are technically having a meeting on there.
Yeah, cause it's about the availability.
Hold on, I think that,
All right, okay. So we'll let y'all know about that.
Okay,
okay, just you'll send an email and then,
Right, what I was saying, Chair Raffle, is that when you notice a meeting, you also have to notice the location. So if you notice the location is Lexington, which the three of you were actually out at a different precinct, and say a member of the public does come by because if you notice this location and you're not there, that's gonna be an issue with the Open Meetings Act. So you have to identify the location and you need to be. So I'm gonna do a little bit of extra research and I'll.
and also if say four members come, at some point, maybe one member would go out, rotate out, as long as we have a quorum.
three,
Maybe one person could rotate out if there's a problem out in the field, but, and not the same person to go every time. But, you know, maybe, Ms. Teal would go to Timothy Road, come back, we got four people there, somebody else could go check on another precinct like that, you know, would that be legal?
but you need to do some research
Yeah,
before you
we're
can
gonna
answer
do
that.
research.
Right, if you all are gonna have a meeting at a location and you notice it at that location, then the quorum always needs to remain at that.
Exactly, that's what I was saying.
Always be-
Yeah,
You can't, three of you then go to.
no, that's what I was saying, just only one person can rotate out at a time.
And that gives us the flexibility, if it's recommended that we can't proceed with that, it gives us the flexibility of conducting business that comes up on the fly, because we've noticed people that we're gonna be here doing business during these hours, as long as we don't do that business somewhere else.
Right.
Any business that happens at that place we said. Is that your initial read? Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
And then always have to see my
We'll
notes.
wait.
All right, we gotta get out of this building here, so
Okay.
let's close that discussion. I don't think we need to take a vote on meeting dates, but let's do that. We'll get more info on the all-day thing. May 26th at 4:30, May 31st at 10 a.m. The chair will entertain a motion to tables number 4. Item number 4 on the agenda, we can
Yes,
scratch.
I make a motion. to
Okay.
table
Whoa, sorry, it's great. This is the one about election day logistics.
Yeah, do we have a
Yes.
second?
Yeah, second.
Second, Mr. Kabir, all those in favor? Aye, okay. The next one was advertisement ahead of election. The chair will entertain a motion to table that.
Commission's table number 5 and we're dismissed ahead of election.
Okay. Do we have a
Second.
second? Okay, second by Mr. Shirley. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 6 is an important item of business that's regarding the Winterville Train Depot. And it's been recommended by the city of Winterville that we make a change to our schedule due to the Marigold Festival happening on, somebody tell me,
14.
May 14th.
Yes.
Do any members have a comment on that?
This is costing them a day of voting, right? They recommend moving it
Go
to the
ahead,
day it's already
Shirley.
happening. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. If I'm understanding correctly, this request would essentially net them one less day of voting, because the day they're recommending moving it to is already a day of advance voting.
Them being the voters?
The voters of this precinct that will be affected
Oh,
by
right.
Winterville's request. If I'm understanding that correctly, is that right? They're requesting
Right.
we essentially nix that one day of the
Yes.
festival. If they've made that request, I respect their request, and I don't like having less time to vote, but
Good to chaos.
okay.
Ms. Pembroke, comment? Question?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm not in favor of any day being short. I understand I understand what their desire is, but I'm here for the people. I'm not here for them.
And then if I could just add too, it's
Can I
gonna,
let them go and then you go, Mr. Kadir?
Yeah, I totally agree with Adam on this, that if this is what they want, then that is what, that precinct, that is what they're looking for. So who are we to question that?
Chair recognizes Ms. Till.
Would it be possible, would we have time, would it be legal to use the tennis center? Is it in use on that day during
yes,
this
Yeah,
time?
it is.
yes, all the
It
other
is.
locations.
It is. It is.
Okay, Ms. Sosby. Well, actually, I'll make my comment. I'm with Ms. Fambro. I don't want to close anything down, shut anything down. I understand their request. It's a valid request, but again, I'm here for the voters.
Yeah.
Not, I was gonna ask you, do you have a suggestion
I don't have a
for
suggestion,
Winterville?
but I'm gonna tell you, I was really excited about adding Winterville because it was mine. Anyway, I don't like the fact that we are removing advanced voting. But I do feel it is secure to chaos because on that day, we will get complaints from voters because they can't get there. Because of that parade, because of that festival. And I would prefer saying, we're not gonna vote there on Saturday and then say, hey, we'll start there on Monday. But you can go to the tennis center or you could come to our office. I'd rather be there than saying, I'm sorry, but there's nothing we could do.
Right. Yeah, I think it's also important to note that it's early voting, so it's not just for the voters of that precinct, it's for all of the
All of
voters.
the vote. Yeah.
So-
People usually vote
On Saturday,
at the train depot that day.
well, this is our first time using Winterville.
So, I guess.
Would vote there? I would say probably 100.
I know that there's a few churches down there. There's the Winterville Auditorium.
Because it's so new, I believe it would be good to get 100. Because everybody's not ready for that
All
yet,
right.
you know what I mean?
All right, are there any other further comments?
Yes, one last question. Director Shelby, who from the city of Winterville requested this? The
When-
mayor, like, which part of the government requested?
Wendy or was it?
It was a call from Wendy.
I'm sorry,
Who was
Wendy,
Wendy?
Wendy was city clerk.
city clerk. And
Wendy
so,
Bond.
because
She's a staff.
like, if there were a way for us to know, like, that this is the people of Winterville's will, that this happened, okay, but if it's like a member of the government saying this,
Police officer.
gotcha.
Can I add a little bit?
Please, yes.
The reason this is happening is because the Marigold Festival is the biggest thing that Winterville does every year. I mean, they're expecting thousands of people to be there. The streets are going to be closed. That building is one of their public bathroom access buildings. So it's like, I mean, it would be a logistical nightmare to do this.
What does
Okay.
that translate into, to help me understand the situation? In what capacity do they use that building, when the parade is going on?
It's not just the parade, Ms. Willa, it's about the festival that's going to be going on all day long too. So there's a kitchen inside that building that they want access to. There's public restrooms in that building that the public will be going in and out and using, and all of the roads around the depot are closed during the festival.
If the roads are gonna be closed, I mean,
I mean, how are the people gonna get to the festival?
No, the main road is not closed, but the side roads coming into the depot and the downtown
Right.
are closed.
which is really situated on the main drag, but there's off the main drag, you make a left turn, and then there's parking. So it will be, the way the things are situated around it, it will be hard to access for real.
Okay, so let's do this because I believe we need to take action. So the chair will entertain a motion to remove Winterville Train Depot for that date. May 14th.
Just ask for a friend.
For a friend. So we're gonna stay on task here. The chair will entertain a motion to remove the Winterville Train Depot
May
14th. And we do have a schedule attached. Question, go ahead, Mr. Sherry.
I was going to make a motion.
Okay,
I move that we honor the request of the city of Winterville by moving advanced voting at the Winterville Train Depot, 125 North Street, from Saturday, May 14th to Monday, May 16th, due to the Marigold Festival.
so we're. Motion, second. Could you read that back again to us? Because just changing, I see what it is, yeah.
Basically, it's further recommendation of Director Setterly, but I want to be sure and give credit where it's due for where this is coming from. So the motion is, that I'd like to make is to honor the request of the city of Winterville by moving advanced voting at Winterville Train Depot, 125 North Street, from Saturday, May 14th to Monday, May 16th, due to the Marigold.
Then is it the whole rest of the week, right?
Yes,
15th,
the whole
16th.
week, yes.
The
With
whole week.
extended hours on Wednesday.
Okay. I
Week,
can
May
kind of live
16.
with that.
Wait, the whole, but no, everything else is the same, we're saying?
You deal with that, Ms. Wood?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can.
the only change is,
It's like,
okay,
yeah, we get
So we have a motion by Mr. Shirley and a second by, was it Ms. Till? Okay, all those voting in favor, and if you're voting in yes, that means you do not want this to happen. You do not want voting in Winterville,
Wait a minute.
or do I have it backwards?
You got,
Sorry.
my motion is, per the recommendation of the city of Winterville, that Saturday of voting at Winterville Train Depot would no longer happen.
Right.
That is the motion.
So if you vote yes, that means you do not want it to, you want it to go away.
I disagree with your characterization, but that would be the effect, yes.
Okay, and if you're voting no, you want it to stay. Okay,
I disagree with your characterization, but
okay, that's fine.
so.
Break it
so
down.
let me- Okay, so y'all are confusing me.
I just want to make sure we're all,
I understand what you're saying, but his motion accommodates. It not only takes it away, but it also accommodates.
well, it's already, we already made that decision to have it on the 16th. It's not.
Okay, so in other words, what you're saying is
Just.
we need to,
Xing.
what we need to do is X that out and then vote for the 16th.
Well, we've already approved the
Approved that,
16th
okay.
on,
Yeah,
well, we revised it on March 2nd, but we approved it on February 16th. So that's why I'm clarifying.
I understand now.
Okay. Okay, all right. All those in favor, raise your hand by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those wishing to vote no or not in favor, raise your hand and say aye. So we have vote,
I did, I voted with the four.
okay, so we have four voting in favor to follow the recommendation of the director. So we will not have voting the Winterville Train Depot on Saturday, May 14th during the Marigold Festival. And 4 members voted yes and 1 member voted no. Okay, so that is taken care of. The next is announcements. We did that, we did that, okay. The next regular meeting is on Tuesday, May 10th at 4:30 PM.
Have to reserve the room.
Okay.
We'll have to reserve the room for you.
Location to be determined. Reminders that it sounds like we don't need poll workers anymore. We're good there. The application's closed.
Yes, for
Okay.
now.
Okay. April 25th is the last day to register in order to vote in the May 24th election. And for the June 21st runoff. May 2nd is the date on which absentee in-person voting begins. And we have a schedule here. It's on our website. If anyone has questions that is watching. The last day to submit application for absentee ballot for the May 24th election is May 13th. And May 23rd, the day before the election, is the last day to register to vote in federal contest should there be a runoff on June 21st.
Yes.
Okay.
And if I may add, April 25th is also the first day to start mailing official ballots.
That you will be mailing them out or that people send them in.
That they will be mailed out.
All right, so we have the cancellation report that we all need to sign, and then the chair will obtain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All right, motion by Ms. Fambro, second by Mr. Shirley. All those in favor, raise your hand by
Aye.
saying aye. Aye. All right, there we go.